I spoke at the very beginning of the year about changing that big trestle bridge in front of the zoo. So I finally thought, you know what, I've got less than 2 weeks to go till we reopen, so it's probably about time that I get to working on it. So today I decided to sit down, grab some basswood, and here I am. So first what I did, and I'm going to show you, I already made one side of it. As you can well see, this is just half of it actually. The other half I'm going to build after I get this one done, but I got to get this done so I can get it put on, be able to get all my good measurements, and then I'll be able to get the other half done. I'll work on that this week. But anyway, the way this is going to work is this is the bottom that was on the trestle bridge before, so I just basically built new sides that aren't nearly as high as that great big trestle bridge that was about yay high. Okay, so this is all basswood, the whole thing. So I'm going to quickly show in steps on how I build it. I started with a piece of basswood that's an inch and a half high. Okay, the pieces that I'm using, like I said before, this is basswood. It's 1.5 inches wide. It's 24 inches long, which is going to be the length of this span, which just happens to fit on the same size as the old Lionel style big girder bridge. Now I've already chamfered the ends. I've just measured up this, I think it was 7/8 of an inch, put a 45-degree chamfer on both ends just to make it look more like a girder style bridge. Now again, this is 1/8 inch pieces. I'm going to put a piece across the top, cap across the top. Then I'm going to also put a piece across the bottom. And then after I get all this done, then what I'll do is I will put all these little look like braces in, and this is all going to be all basswood also. So I have to make sure that when I measure everything out, everything fits, so that when I have this up on a piece of aluminum, the piece of basswood is actually set on aluminum, clamped onto here, so that it's not going to move. I have the wax paper underneath everything, so none of my glue sticks to my tabletop, because I've done that too many times and that's not good. So, okay, I got my side actually clamped to the bottom of my table, wax paper underneath. This is a piece of aluminum that I use in my animations, but I have a lot of different sizes of aluminum that I use for straight edges, for clamping. This is going to keep everything flat, and I have a piece of basswood here that I'm actually going to start by gluing this to the very bottom of the bridge. So here we go. I'll run a bead of Super Jet. By the way, the Super Jet that I use is available in our hobby shop, and I use a lot of it, so that's why I have the big container of it. Alright. Clamp that there. Matter of fact, I'll take a piece of angle aluminum, press it up against, make sure everything gets pushed down so it's perfectly flat. We're going to hold that. Now I'm going to take my Super Jet, my zip kicker, and I showed you before about how I have a little loop of wire, and I'm going to take the loop, can't find the loop, so I'm just going to use a toothpick. Just dip and I just drop a little bit across here. That's going to set that super glue, that Super Jet up immediately, without having to spray the whole thing. Okay. Now it looks like my board stuck a little bit to my aluminum. All I gotta do is pop that off. And that's done. Now I'm going to put the top and the end pieces on. Now as you can see, it makes a nice little base. Now that is 1/8 of an inch. So what I can now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my aluminum and lay it down. I might reuse that piece, it's a little too wide. I'll lay this one down like that. because I want to be able to make my overhang. I'm going to let the overhang so that that top piece actually goes right down the center of the sides. I got my piece clamped down. It's perfectly flat. Run my bead of Super Jet across here. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I can get some zip kicker. Throw a little bit of zip kicker in there. I don't want to use a lot. That shows you how fast that sets. Like I said, I got a lot of clamps, a lot of tools. Actually, a lot of my stuff right now is up at the Choo barn that we use during winter. The work at the winter time. So I don't have access to everything. All right, now I'm going to do my end pieces. Take a little piece of scrap. I'll cut a piece of scrap. Measure my scrap here. I'll be able to cut things off there after I get this up. Okay, it doesn't look like much yet, but it comes together fairly quickly. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these pieces. I'm going to use my one of my X-Acto saws and just roughly cut the ends off. All right, that doesn't look like that's held on there too good. Let's see. Okay, rough cut. All right, I'm going to trim this and cut. I want to sand these off so it's perfectly in line with that camphor. So I'm going to use my little Dremel sanding unit here. It's got a belt sander and a circular sander here on the side. This is a pretty old system. I've never upgraded because this one works fine. So here we go. I got the camphor pieces now pretty much the way I want them. So now what I want to do is I got to put a piece in here, and again I'm going to take a piece of that same stock that I used a little while ago and rough cut a piece. Got a little piece of wax paper. Got a little piece of sandpaper here. Hold that on there. Put a little glue. Found my loop. Little zip kicker. Do the other side. And now I'm going to go back over and I'm going to cut I'm going to sand these pieces down the same way I just sanded this down, so it makes a perfect chamfered edge. Okay, I've measured the length of the uprights that I'm going to need for the side pieces, and I've set my micro mark little chop saw or miter saw up with a stop here, a homemade stop using a block of wood, a clamp, and a piece of aluminum, so that each one of these will be 1.5 inches long, which is exactly the distance in between the top piece and the bottom piece on my bridge. So I'm going to take my reverse clamp tweezer and hold. I got 2 pieces of basswood in here, and I'm going to cut them at the same time. I need 24 of them, 23 of them actually. It's time to put each one of these little uprights in here. Pick one up with my regular tweezers. Get my glue ready. And I need my square. Now, before I did anything, before I cut these pieces, I took my ruler and I marked off 1-inch marks all the way down along the bottom, because that's where I want my uprights to be. So I'm going to basically lay the upright in here and square it up. Drop a little bit of glue on it, just on the edges. Get another one. This is the part that just takes time. You just got to do it. It's one of those things that has to be done when you're building something like this. Sometimes you have to build or make a lot of single little pieces like this for a bridge or whatever, and it just takes a little time to get everything all put together. I got this side all done. Got all the uprights, the braces glued on here, and now I flipped it over, and I actually had to put a piece the whole length, which is actually, this is what the track will lay on, and I had to do this for because of the trolley lines. So I put this piece across the top here, because this piece then will set on the top here, and then I'm going to have to drill new holes in the metal, and then I'll drill holes in here, and that'll just give me something to screw this fast to. And this will give me a little ledge to put these uprights on. So I marked everything off. I cut my pieces again with my miter saw, and I'm ready to start gluing again. And so here it is. It's this side's done now. So all I have to do now is I had drilled new holes. I've drilled 3 new holes here so that I could put screws in, and all I got to do now is mark my holes on the wood, drill those holes out, throw a coat of primer on it, let that primer dry up real good, and then I can paint it black. The second side took me probably half the time that took the first time, because the first time I was designing and building all at the same time, trying to figure out exactly how I was going to do it. Well, obviously then when you do the second side, you've already got, you already know what you're doing. So I'm ready to go and move on, get these drill holes drilled out, get it painted, move to something else.